It's a huge disappointment after a defeat against Mexico, where if I'm being honest, I thought in the first half period in Mexico we was okay, but certainly not in the second half. What I wanted was a reaction today. I fielded a team that I felt would give us enough control in the middle of the park and enough threat up front. But we conceded 3 goals in, I think, a 19-20 minute period. And at that stage, the game changes completely. So for a question of getting back into the game and getting goals, it becomes making sure that we don't concede more. All 4 goals we conceded, which, you know, if I'm looking at the difficulties that we've had, generally the difficulties where it's been more about scoring goals than it has been about defending. But when you concede 4 goals in a period of time, and I would have to be honest with you, we had a goalkeeper that had to make a couple of good saves. It could have been more.
I just feel like we just need a bit of more time, because it's a new group, a lot of new players, and most of the players are really inexperienced. So it's not easy, but we're working on it because we know we don't have time, and this type of games is a reality check. And now we know our level, and we know we have to keep working hard to get this cohesion together and to learn how to play together and all those things. So it will come with time, but we all know that in football there's not really time. So we're pushing hard, and we're trying our best to have better performances as a team, and with time it will come.
One thing I can guarantee you is that there's nothing wrong with the spirit in the team. You know, and I've been involved for a period of time now, first as technical advisor, and obviously since March as head coach. And I would have to say, going right through the World Cup and into the camps that we've had, the spirit amongst the team has always been very good. Yes, if we're looking at cohesion in the team, it is about trying to get these right balances. At international level, it can be difficult because you can be 5-6 players short in one camp than you are in a different camp, and it's also determining of a way of playing. You know, in the last couple of games, we've played a different system to maybe try to solve some of the problems that we felt that we've had in creating chances. But it's my role as head coach and the coaches that we have to continue to work with these players to get the right balances and the right formulas to get the performances that we want. As regards results, you are right. And there's always that balance between performance and results, and ultimately, of course, the results are always the most important things.
Okay, all right. I think for me, the match they play against Mexico, I think when you look at the matches that we played beginning the qualifying series against the Nation Cup of Nations at Côte d'Ivoire, if you see our performance, I can see there's a lot of improvement when you compare our ball possession, because the last matches we played against Angola and Madagascar, the team was so shoddy. But this match, I think there's a lot of improvement on the side of the Black Stars.
They have one match again with US, and I'm praying that as they are preparing, they will also find a way of solving the problem so that they can put out their pieces, then they score, so that at least, as for US, you know, we are already winning them. So they should take that advantage, and on their own land, we should also see a progress there.
We've just gotten a new coach, a new manager.
All right, so those are excerpts of some reactions from Ghanaians on the performance of our Black Stars. That's their own verdict. We also saw the games that they played against Mexico and the United States of America. We've seen Chris Hughton explaining, typical of him, what's happened with the Stars, and in some cases talking about the pitch, no, they not being familiar with the pitch, etc. Let me talk to UEFA license coach Anakwe Kwajima, who's joined us via Zoom, just to pick his thoughts on what he thinks Chris Hughton is up to, whether he understands the Chris Hughton project or the Chris Hughton project is failing, or it is not a Chris Hughton problem. It is just that we just don't have a team that's committed enough to be able to deliver on the goods, or we're back to the same conversation about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are weak. It is difficult to build anything. The superstructure won't stand. Anakwe Kwajima, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mauro. Good morning. Long time, my brother.
Yeah, long time no see. I mean, I was surprised when I texted you or when the production team was chatting you up a few days ago, inviting you to join this conversation, and you said, I've checked out as far as the Black Stars are concerned. I've given up. Why?
Well, I'm like millions of Ghanaians. We've all checked out, Bring back the love. Let's get a team together first, then we can talk about it. I think you talked about the fundamentals, and this is one of the problems. The fundamentals are not there. And we're still grappling with the whole thing. I mean, Chris is now there. We've had Otto Adu. We've had, what's his name there? The Appiah, the former captain.
Stephen Appiah. Yeah.
No, not Stephen Appiah. I forgot his name. He's now coaching in Sudan.
Oh, Kwesi Appiah. Kwesi Appiah. Yeah. Kwesi Appiah. Sorry.
Then we had, then before that, we brought back Milo. I mean, look, we've tried everything. And, essentially the main problem for me is the management of the Ghana Black Stars and all the national teams. We have a technical director there, the German guy. I don't know what he's doing. There was, fanfare when they launched the blueprint of how we should play football and all that. None of that. I've not seen that as an imprint. I've not seen the impression of this blueprint on the national team so far. I've not seen the impression of Chris Hughton as the head coach on the Ghana Black Stars so far. Despite the fact that some would say, oh, these are new players and they're inexperienced and all that kind of stuff. That's the reason why you have a coach. You get inexperienced players and you groom them, you coach them, you direct them, you instruct them. You understand? They play to a particular pattern that you set, to a particular style that you set, against the background of a philosophy that as a GFA we should have. The fact of the matter is, Mauro, we have no philosophy, we have no style, we have no pattern of play. The instructions, God knows what he's telling them. The directions, only God again knows. There is nothing absolutely there. And these are the essentials. And I always go back to talking about having a selection criteria. These people, they are shy to tell us the reasons why they select players, because they are not selected on the basis of merit. This is the problem. They are selected on the basis of market and marketing. That's the problem. That's essentially the problem. And until we can square all of this up, we're still going to have the problem. Because look, what is consistent throughout all our failings, let's say from 2000, it's the management. It's the management that is consistent throughout everything. The management is a big part of the problem. And with Chris Hughton, I've known Chris Hughton for years. I mean, you guys are only just saying Chris Hughton's name. You guys don't know him. I've known him from his days at Tottenham when he was an assistant manager there, assistant coach there. And in fact, through Chris Hughton, I got my son's trials at Tottenham Hotspur, like almost 2 decades ago. I know you guys don't know him. I know him, and I know his pedigree. And when we were at Metro TV, myself and Christopher Opoku of blessed memory were telling Chris like 15 years ago, he should come and take this squad because we knew the qualities that he possessed. But he didn't want to have anything to do with Ghana at that stage. And I think that was the right time. Now he's here. All the qualities we've seen demonstrated at Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle, Brighton, and other EPL clubs, we're not seeing demonstrated here at all. It's just not happening. And I believe it's not happening not only because the fundamentals are not there, but because of interference from the management of the Ghana Football Association. I think these are the key problems. I don't know what he does in his coaching sessions. I've not watched him, but for what I've seen displayed, and the fact that in 2 matches we've conceded 6 goals, and in both matches we've had minimum shots on target. I think in the USA game, the keeper pulled off a great save against Kudos. But in both matches, basically, we've had 1 shot on target, in 180 minutes. That's absolutely diabolical. In fact, the 4-0 defeat is the biggest defeat since Saudi Arabia beat us 5-0 back in 2005. So this is how bad things really are. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon if Chris Hughton is not allowed to be his own man and manage the squad as he sees fit, technically, without the interference of others.
Now, another quick question, Mike. Coaching, in football, it's like boxing, and is defined by, styles, and it's wedded to a set of principles that define this style. I mean, when you talk about Chris Hughton, you talk about a compact, defense-oriented style of football, and yet look at the number of goals that we're conceding. Now, this talk about the interference of the management of the Black Stars and interference of the management in player selection, it's come up from the days of Adam. I mean, one of the reasons why a lot of Ghanaians were excited about the Chris Hughton project, because we felt he had what it takes, or what it took to sort of shrug off some of these interferences because of his mindset, because of his philosophy, because of where he's coming from. So if today we're still talking about interference in the Black Stars in terms of player selection, then it looks like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, is there?
No, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. And, I don't know how they're going to get over it. When I stayed up for both matches, and it's like, wow, did I really do that to see this? And then to hear what he had to say at the press conference. Fine, he took full responsibility. I respect that. He took full responsibility. But for many of the other things that were said, come on. And a big part of the issue is, this is why there's going to be challenges about the Bring Back the Love campaign. Because look, stop talking up a product that is no good. You're going to hear us say shortly, and you're going to hear the Minister of Sport say shortly, we're going to win the AFCON. We have no chance of winning the AFCON, even if we're just playing there on our own. We have no chance. But the GFA will tell you, yes, we're going to win the AFCON. We're going to break the jinx of 40-odd years. And the Ministry of Sport, who they definitely don't know anything at all, will also tell you we're going to win the AFCON. And they will build up the expectations of all of us who support the Ghana Black Stars. And then we'll go there and we'll struggle. I mean, we've got Comoros and Mauritania or something like that coming up shortly. I think it's the World Cup qualifiers, right? We only need a point, I think, and we're shaking. We are literally shaking because we don't know. We don't have the confidence that we can beat Comoros, and Comoros has already embarrassed us already, took us to the cleaners, and we're shaking at the thought of playing them. And yet we're supposed to be the Brazilians of Africa. I mean, I don't know if it's Brazilian coffee makers, but it certainly ain't Brazilian footballers. Definitely not. So there's a big issue, and there's a lot of work to be done. And I believe that some of the fundamentals must come into play. On what basis do you select some of the players? And look, we saw Jordan Ayew speaking, right? And you put Jordan Ayew up front every single game when you know that he doesn't score goals. And you put people up front to score goals. He doesn't score goals for club or country. He doesn't score goals. And for me, he does work hard. I'll never take that away from him. He's a workaholic on the field. But his best position now is as a wing back, either on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side, because he can cover up those gaps and he can recover very well to support the defense. Yes, and he can also move forward as well. But when you put him out and tell him to go and score goals, what are you doing? What is it you're doing? I don't understand that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the basis that we select players and the basis that we put them in the positions that we want them to play is a big thing for me. Because when you don't get it right, you end up with performances like that against Mexico and against the USA. And even prior to that, we played a couple of other World Cup qualifying games where we struggled. We can only play football in Kumasi, and we can't even play that good there either. It's just that we've got a large following there, a large crowd there, and that gives us some confidence. Other than that, they lack confidence, they lack commitment, they lack dedication. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip with Alidu, Seydou Alidu, where Ware flicked it over his head. And this player just stood there and shrugged his shoulders like, okay, somebody else get it. I mean, that's such bad attitude. I mean, Chris was saying in his interview that, everything is okay. And then you showed some Jammer seeds. We need to scrap this Jammer thing. Every day, Jammer session, Jammer session. To what? What does it bring? What does it give to us? It brings nothing. Those players need to focus on football when they get to that stadium. Forget all the Jammer stuff and think football. You've got to eat football, drink football, and sleep football. And they're not doing either of it when they come to play for country. They're just having one big jamboree. And that's not what it's all about. That is not what it's all about. We must select players on merit. We must place them in positions that best suit them because we know that they can perform in those positions. And we must give them a philosophy. There must be a philosophy as the underlining background about who we are, how we play, what we represent. There's nothing there at the moment. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely. You ask the GFA for their blueprint. You ask them for their blueprint. And then you match it against performances like this. What is actually happening? Nothing. Nothing. It's a piece of paper. Nothing is there. And if you think you're going to go to Ivory Coast and come back with the African Cup of Nations, unless they give it to us, there's no way. There is no way. Trust me, no way.
No. There's already a conversation about the fact that we need to have a cultural reset, a mindset revolution about the current generation of Black Stars as compared to what we had before. And that you have a situation where the players we have today feel that they're doing this country a mindset. Yes, all the factors that you've mentioned have come up in conversations and they're valid. But what about the mindset of the players themselves? And you've talked about Ali Seydou. You talked about that flicked over what is popularly known as sombrero. And he just looked on. Chris Hutchings talked about the fact that it's a bad attitude. But it's just the what you call an organizational culture within the Black Stars, where the players themselves don't see the need to, feel proud of wearing the Ghana jersey and wanting to go the extra mile to quote and unquote kill themselves for the country. What is different about the current generation of players that we have as compared to what we had before?
Well, there's so much more opportunities out there. This is where the marketing comes in. Players want to save themselves. The whole world were playing friendlies. And you can see in our games, players that are saving themselves because we've got big games this afternoon in the EPL or wherever else they play. You look at Partey. What was his overall contribution? He saved the day when Alidu was beat with that flick. and he barged Ware to the ground, he barged him off the ball fairly, But apart from that, I mean, what's the overall contribution? The mindset that you talk about is a mindset that says we're playing a friendly. I mustn't get injured because I've got a bigger game to play next weekend. That's the mindset. There's no killing themselves for the Black Stars, not at all. Not at all. Not even in proper matches. It's as if players don't recognize that even in a friendly encounter, FIFA rank you. It affects the rankings, but we don't consider that. We consider, well, we've got a big game coming up next week. Got to make sure I don't get any injury because I've got to make the first 11. I don't want to be on the bench.
But why
That's the mindset.
but I'm not question. Why don't we see Ivorians behave the same? The Senegalese behave the same. The Moroccans behave the same. Egyptians behave the same. And then perhaps the Cameroonians, behaving the same. They play for these EPL teams, big teams, but when they come back home, they play for the national teams as if their whole life depended on it. So what is it about our players what is it about our players that when they come home they don't want to go the extra mile?
Yeah, it's not just about players. I think we've got a problem in general.
Right.
It's the entire country, isn't it? It's
right.
The entire country. The entire population, it's our mindset as Ghanaians, not wanting to go the extra mile in anything, but wanting the results. And this is the problem. This is the problem. It's a societal issue of which the Black Stars is a microcosm of the overall picture. They want the victory, but they don't want to put in 100%, right, because they want to ensure they're there for their next domestic fixture. It's a huge societal problem. This is just a microcosm of it all. I don't know how we solve it, but we don't have the same attitude, the same drive, the same respect for our country as the other countries you have mentioned who also play friendlies. We don't. It's not there. It's not there. So you're right about it. We need a generational change in terms of mindset. It's like, the older generation, let me put it that way, have passed along this don't care attitude, but I'll get whatever I can get without contributing anything. I feel so entitled. We just keep passing that mindset along. And, Seydou there, Alidou Seydou, he thinks he's entitled to be in the Black Stars. So once he's been beaten like that, somebody else go and deal with it. Because the next time we play, I'll still be called up. Because why? Well, there's no criteria. There's no criteria.
Should we stop begging these guys to come and play for the Black Stars? We saw what happened with Salisu Mohammed. We saw what happened with this guy who plays for Atletico Bilbao, who has been struggling to score a goal. The coach says he's still trying to figure out a formula to get him to I'm talking about Inaki Williams. We saw what's happened with what's the name of this guy? There's a whole list of them. We've had to beg them to come and play for the Black Stars, and some of them have even said they didn't feel Ghanaian enough, and yet we're going the extra. I mean, should we stop that policy?
You know why we're doing that? You know why we're doing that?
Right.
Is because we lack the capacity to develop the skill and the talent that we have here in our own local league. And we lack the patience to develop that talent too. That's why we have to go around the globe begging everybody else. Because we're not interested in developing the talent here. We're only interested in selling them off as quickly as possible and recuperating money plus profits for the time and the money that we've put into the various local clubs. That's why. That's why I'm saying this blueprint, what does it actually mean? How does it impact from Colts or even from junior school, senior high, Colts, Division 3, 2, 1, and our Premier League? How did this blueprint impact upon all of that? Do you understand what I'm saying? These USA players that came, look, if you check them all out, they've been going to schools that specialize in football, where the focus is football, but they teach them as well. They want to ensure they have a good education as well. but they're there in those various high schools and colleges because of their athleticism and the prowess they have in association football. And they're developed from a very early age all the way up. I keep talking about these academies and the reason why we should have them and where we should start from them, the under 5s, the under 7s, the under 9s, the under 11s. This is how USA is grooming players to play football. This is what they're doing. They're taking the time, they're having the patience, they're investing, they're not looking for rewards and money now. They're looking for laurels later. That many of them are not even looking for financial rewards.
Right.
How many players from the USA play in the EPL? How many players from the USA play in the Serie A? You can count them on one hand.
Right.
But they're doing marvelously well in the
Right.
USA because their blueprint that they have impacts upon them from a very early age and is a consistent feature of their life throughout their budding potential football career. We don't have it here. It does not exist.
Right.
It's a big problem. It's a
Right.
huge problem.
And I know, and you know, to just capture this in a second, I think what we have successfully done, quite sadly, is that we have created this impression that the players and their feelings is what matters, and not the feelings of the poor man whose taxes fund them. And I want to thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you. You have yourself a good day, sir.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right. Nana Kwejima is a UEFA Alliances coach. He's a sports enthusiast and an analyst as well. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, let me say that it's 0249 155 646. 0249 155 646. That's the WhatsApp line. For those of you who have views that you intend to express, I need you to speak your mind on what you think about the Black Stars and what the future holds, because it's becoming increasingly worrying. 0249 155 646. That's the WhatsApp line.